Hey bassist, today I have an affordable wireless guitar system shootout for you today, brought to you by Zounds and Lekato. Today I will not be shooting out just one system, not two, not three, but four different wireless systems for bass. I haven't had the need for a wireless system because I haven't been playing in a band for like 10 years, but I recently just joined a cover band, the Aughts, and we like giving high energy performances, so I thought now would be a good time to look into a wireless system to add to my arsenal. Going into this video, I had very little knowledge of wireless systems, so I'm going to tell you what I learned trying to shop for a wireless system. So when initially shopping for a wireless system, there were three factors out. First was a good compact design. Second were the most popular wireless systems currently being used. Also the most affordable. I'm not trying to go into like anything $300 plus. And the last and most important was what Zounds had in stock for me to try out. So the three wireless systems I picked, the first is the XVive. This seems like the most popular wireless system out there, and I've never really heard of XVive for anything besides their wireless guitar system, so they must be doing something right with this. So the second one I picked was Boss's wireless design. We all know Boss and Roland as a company, and they had two different options. They had one with cable tone simulation and one with no cable tone simulation. The last one I picked was NUX. I don't know much about this brand, but my friend Eric uses this one all the time and he said it's great, so I wanted to go ahead and try this one out. At the time I didn't have this Lekato wireless one, so I'm just going to save that for a later part of the video. So my first test for these wireless kits, we're just taking them straight to band rehearsal. My band, the Aughts, has two guitarists, and then I play bass, so we had three wireless units and a 3-hour rehearsal, so we each took an hour practicing with each wireless unit. The main thing I was looking for at this rehearsal was what my bandmates thought, and then I just wanted to make sure all three units would play nice together, because you could purchase a unit by itself and it might work at home, but if it's not going to work well with others, it might not be a great unit. And it's also not just considering my bandmates, but we were at a rehearsal room, so people in other rooms might also be impacting the signal. So I just wanted to take those factors into consideration when testing these units. So using these wireless kits at rehearsal is just so much fun. Our band has been putting an emphasis on giving really high energy performances. We're not trying to do like a 3-hour cover band gig thing. We just want to give shorter sets with a lot of energy, and these wireless units really seem like the way to do it. With the freedom of wireless, you can see here I'm performing spins and other random moves that I would never even think about doing with a cable. Alright, let's go into the issues that we had at rehearsal. The first, which I forgot to film, was that the guitarist had issues with the NUX cable staying in. It was kind of hanging loose and it was a little insecure. The reason for this was that his input jack was a little bit loose, but I do want to say that the Boss and that the XVive did not have this issue. It was only with the NUX. So the other two main factors I was really looking for was reliability and tone. You can't really gauge tone in this setting. It's really hard to do. I think it's easier in a studio setting. But one thing we did look at was reliability, and we actually ran into a problem with the Boss and the NUX systems. So the XVive has 4 channels that you can select, and that's how you don't conflict with other wireless units. For the NUX and the Boss, they each use their own algorithm to connect, and what ended up happening was these algorithms must be conflicting. When the guitarist would cross over and try to play, you would actually hear that the Boss one was cutting out a bit. So while Boss and NUX market these wireless systems as easier setup because you don't have to set up the channels like the XVive, this actually backfired because there's no real way to reset these properly. So because this happened at rehearsal, we decided, hey, we can't use this at a show. So not all three of us could use a wireless system at a show, which is really unfortunate. That's when I decided to look through my emails, and I remember that Lekato hit me up to try their wireless unit. I did a video for Lekato's wireless unit 4 years ago, and it was a $30 unit, and it was terrible and sucked out all the low end from my bass. So I looked a little more into the Lekato wireless system, and I saw that it actually uses a 5.8 gigahertz frequency. The other 3 wireless units used a 2.4 frequency. So I was thinking, okay, cool, maybe this unit won't conflict, and Lekato was kind enough to send me this for free to use in this wireless shootout. So we went to rehearsal again, and I brought these 3 units. I know the Boss one was technically the one that was cutting out with the NUX, but the design of the Boss was just superior to the NUX. That's why we decided to take out the NUX. So the rehearsal went great, and then we played our show with all 3 wireless systems. I got to use the XVive, and then my other 2 guitarists took the Boss and the Lekato, and this worked great. Now, actually, I thought at one point it cut out during the show, but I wasn't wearing my glasses at the show, and then I found that my tuner was on, which was extremely embarrassing.
Trying out a new wireless kit. It is not working.
Part of the process.
Alright, fuck Windows user.
Skill issue! Skill issue!
Okay, let me go into each individual wireless system. So this is the Boss 20L wireless system. There's 2 versions. There's one that has cable tone simulation and one that does not have cable tone simulation. So this comes with 2 pieces that are very small and compact. You can see this goes into the guitar and this goes into your pedal board or your amp. I really like that both of these are colored differently. So it also comes with this cable and it fits both in here and in here. But what you can do and how you're supposed to charge it is you plug it in like this and then you charge it from here, and then this charges both. I think this is a really neat, compact way to charge it. So how to turn on the Boss one. There's no on or off button, you plug and play. I'll show you my pedal board. You can see that it's lit up now. Plug this into my bass. Green light is on now. Take it out, put it back in, and it's on. Look at the pedal board, you can see that there is a yellow light now. So this one by far has the easiest connection. You literally don't have to think, you just plug and play. So in my bass, you can see it sticks out a little bit. Not terrible compared to some of the other clunkier designs I've seen. And for the guitarists out there, I know sometimes you don't include us, but I'm gonna include you into the shootout. So here's a Stratocaster. This is what it looks like in a Stratocaster. I think it looks pretty clean, although the whammy here, you can see it clearly gets in the way of that. And then a bass with the bottom jack. Going to look like that there. It has the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, has a range of 50 meters. It's supposed to be advertised as 12-hour battery life, but for all these wireless units, I wasn't really able to test the battery life. None of them died on me. And if you have 14 of these, they're all supposed to work together simultaneously without any issues, but I wouldn't take that to heart considering we brought in the NUX and then this was already cutting out. Wireless kit number 2, the NUX B5RC. So this one does come in a very cool compact case. What's nice about this case is that it actually charges the wireless units for you. These are labeled as transmitter and receiver, power button on the end. There's no other buttons on this. Automatically has a unique algorithm for each individual unit. So let's turn this on. So you can see it's red because it's not paired. So I'm going to turn this one on now. And then now you can see that they're both green. So that means it's paired. Here's what it looks like on my jazz bass. So you can flip it down like this or like that, however you want to do it. Stratocaster, flip it in like this. You can flatten it down. And then if your input jack is on the bottom, you can go like this, lay it flat, or you can do it vice versa this way and it should stay. So if you have an input bottom jack, stuff like this, and the XVive might work better for you. This one's $150. It also has a range of 50 meters and the battery life is about 15 hours on these. All right, the XVive system. This is the most popular unit that I've seen out there. I've seen multiple guitarists and bassists use this. So something that the XVive provides that no one else does is different colors for wireless receivers. They have it in black, carbon, and then red, silver. So it's really cool that they have these offerings. This also goes for $150 and it has an advertised range of 70 feet. Again, I didn't really test the range, but that's what's advertised. This one only has 5 hours of battery life and it has a really odd charging mechanism. So this has 2 plugs. You plug them both in and then it's dual charging. I guess this isn't that odd. It makes sense. You would expect for most chargers, but considering the other 2 chargers had better options, this is probably the worst. I'm going to turn these on the side. It has 4 different channels, so I can click the channel button and it only flashed once. It's on channel 1, so that's how you figure out how channels go. Click it twice, goes on channel 2. So here's what it looks like on my jazz bass. It's clearly not really hidden, very much sticks out. On a Stratocaster, here's what it looks like. It's pretty bulky, but it works. And then what's probably most optimal is if you have an input jack on the bottom, you can plug this in here and then just leave it like this and it should stay. These are $150, but I did see these on sale at some point for $110. So keep your eye out. The Lekato wireless system. So this one comes with its own little charging case. Plug both these in and it'll start charging it. You don't have to plug this into the USB. The case has a charge as well. So I just plug it in and it's charging. This has the smallest and most compact design out of all of them. Both receivers are black, but they do say transmitter and receiver on back, so you know which one is which. So it's literally just a click of the button to turn these on. This also has 4 channels, just like the XVive. So if I click it, you can see it flashes once. I click it again, flashes twice, flash it again 3 times, and that's now on channel 3. So you can use up to 4 of these together. Here's what it looks like on the Jazz Bass. You can see it's pretty compact, can't hit it. Here is the Lekato in a Strat. Again, it's pretty compact. And then if your input jack is on the bottom, this is what it would look like here. Sticks out a little bit, but again, not too bad as it's not as bulky as some of the other systems. It has 65-foot range, 10 hours of advertised battery life. You can also charge other devices on here, so you can charge your phone or your camera, as well as the 2 wireless units by themselves. This wireless unit only goes for $80, and it also goes frequently on sale on Amazon. The only system I have that is on 5.8 gigahertz versus the others that are 2.4 gigahertz. So let's go a little bit into the difference between 2 gigahertz versus 5 gigahertz. So I think Shure.com's article explained this best when I was trying to research. So the transmission between the 2 and the 5 hertz, they use a different set of channels, and you want to think of it as like lanes on a car road. Both of them have different amount of lanes. So 2.4 hertz is a very busy but also very common channel. That's why you see most wireless kits are built on 2.4 hertz, but other appliances like Bluetooth and garage openers and all that use 2.4 hertz. So however, 2.4 hertz does give you a wider range. So if you're really looking for like that 100 feet, that's what you're going to get from the 2.4 hertz versus the 5. 5 gigahertz gives you more channels and therefore more lanes on the road, so you're less likely to interfere, but there's no guarantee. You can see a lot of Wi-Fi now has 5G. Standard Wi-Fi is 2. Everyone's connected to the 5G networks now. So again, there's no guarantee that you're going to get no interference with either the 2 nor the 5. 5 gigahertz has less range, so if you're really trying to push past that like 40-50 foot limit, this might not be the way to go. So I know that was a lot of information, so here is a chart with all the different factors that I found useful. So now one of the most important aspects for me is the tone test. Do any of these wireless kits suck out the low end? I feel like when I was using them, they did at rehearsal, but I don't really notice that as much at rehearsal or live sound, but in the studio, you're definitely gonna notice that low end reduction. So I would never recommend any of these wireless units for studio recordings or even making bass covers at home. I would always go with the cable. The fact is, with the wireless unit, there's always chances that it may not work, but with the cable, you're pretty much 100% guaranteed it's gonna work unless it's a bad cable. So let's go ahead and compare cable tone to all the wireless tones. Okay, so that's the test on a 4-string jazz bass. So one thing a lot of wireless units say is that they do not work with active pickups. Note that is different than active electronics. Most basses, if they are actively using active electronics, you'll rarely see a bass that uses active pickups. I myself don't have a bass with active pickups, but I do have a 6-string active bass. So let's go ahead and see how that sounds. Okay, so that's what the active basses sound like. Another thing to note that the NUX does recommend, if you do use active instruments for any reason, you should make sure the connection is a little further. So in between the bass and the NUX cable, you should probably have like a 2 or 3 foot cable in between. I'm assuming that recommendation would be best for all the units, but I just noticed that when reading the NUX documentation. Okay, so let's review everything again. The Boss, it does not come with a carrying case, but it has a very compact design and very easy setup. The design is very sturdy and also has the options of getting one with cable simulation and one without cable simulation. Some other pros for this Boss, it's advertised to have the least amount of delay out of the 4 wireless units with 2.3 milliseconds of delay. And then the battery life on this is also pretty impressive with 12 hours advertised. The cons for this one, I would say, is the price. This is the most expensive out of the bunch, being $230. The one with cable simulation is a little less, but it's still pricier than all these other units. And then the other big con is, while it says that it can work with 14 of these without any problem, we saw that it did conflict with other wireless units such as the NUX. So the NUX, it comes with a very sleek case. You can see that it's charging right now inside the case, and then I can turn this on to see how much battery is in the case itself. Even if you don't have this charging into the wall outlet, the case can still charge itself. I believe this one also has cable tone simulation you can turn on and off, but I didn't really experiment. Okay, and the cons for the NUX. This is a little bulkier design. However, if you have an input jack on the side of your instrument, it actually works nicely, but if you have it on the front like me, then it's actually a little bit of a nuisance. And then of course the algorithm, it says that each NUX has its own unique algorithm. So in theory, you could get like 5 of these units or 10 of these units, and they should all be their own. However, it doesn't actually specify a specific number of units that you can use, and we saw that this conflicted with the Boss. So again, it's a little iffy. Another pro for this has the longest battery life according to the chart. Again, I haven't tested this myself, and I don't know how much the battery would degrade, but just keep that in mind if battery life is important to you. The XVive, which I'm going to call the most mainstream choice, what I love is that it comes in different colors, so you can customize it and not get mixed up with anyone else's XVive units. Another pro I like is that this has the most buttons on it. It only has 2 on each receiver, but that's more than any of the other receivers. And that allows for channel select on both of these. So I can select channel 3 on here and 3 on here, channel 1 and 4, and then turn it on and off with just the switch. And another pro is that this has the longest advertised range at 70 feet. Again, I haven't battle tested this, but that's just not something that I personally need. All right, cons for this. This definitely has the bulkiest design out of all of them. Even the NUX is a little bit cleaner for this kind of design that works better with the side of the input jack. If I got a black one, it would be more subtle, but I kind of got the gold one because it matches my green and gold base, which I don't have on hand with me right now, but that's why I picked the gold. So another con, this is advertised to have the worst battery life. It has 5 hours. Pretty much will need to charge this after every band rehearsal or 2. The biggest con for me, I would say, is the charging. I don't like the dual cable charging. I think all the other 3 connectors have better charging than the XVive. Lastly, the Lekato. The Lekato, I'd say by far has the coolest and cleanest design. It's a great middle ground between both, where it's not too bulky. I mean, it doesn't wrap around the side jack, but it's still small enough where it doesn't matter. And then if you have it on the front facing jack, it's still pretty tiny. And the charging case with this is just phenomenal. Again, the only thing I really like is that Boss's idea of changing the colors for the transmitter and receiver are great. But again, it shows it on the back which one is which, so it's not a big deal. Like the XVive, this has control of the channels. You click it and it will flash and tell you exactly what channel you're on. Another pro, this is the tone. If you look at the frequency response, this has the widest frequency range out of all 4 wireless units. I think that's because it's on the 5 gigahertz, but don't quote me on that. You can see that it has a little more low end and high end compared to the others. I definitely could hear the low end a little bit more when I was recording, but when it came to a live situation, it wasn't really noticeable. This has a solid 65-foot range, again, not battle tested, and then it has 6 milliseconds of delay. And then the best part is that this is the most affordable unit at $80. So the question is, which one would I pick? And the answer is there's no clear-cut winner here. It really depends on your needs and your preference. If you need that 70-foot range, then the XVive is going to guarantee it. Another factor to consider is if you have a side jack on your bass or if you have a front jack. So if you have the side, then the NUX and the XVive are going to be better. But if you have it on the front, then you might want to look at the Lekato or the Boss. But then if you have both instruments like me, then it's really a tough call. It also depends how big of a factor battery life and charging are for you, maybe where you live or where you rehearse, if the 2 or the 5 gigahertz frequencies are better. It really depends on the room and the settings. And it also depends on what your needs are. If you need something that's very reliable, you probably don't want to look at any of these units. You probably need to go in the $500 plus range. But overall, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these units. They're all pretty reliable. I think the main thing to consider is making sure you don't buy units that conflict. So again, Boss and the NUX are big no's, but maybe if you have 3 Boss systems and your band decides to sync that, then it might work just fine. So the question is, overall, what would I pick or recommend? So before I go into that answer, I do just want to give a shout out to Zounds and Lekato again for sending me these units. Without either company, this shootout wouldn't have been possible. If you want to make sure I continue to do shootouts like this, go ahead and check out my Zounds affiliate link. So if you really forced me to pick one, I think I'd have to go with the Lekato just because it's a very compact design. It's the smallest out of all of them. It has the smallest charging case and it's the most affordable. But again, one of these might break after 3 months. Maybe the battery life is not advertised as long as it is. I haven't truly tested out all these wireless units for 3 to 6 months heavily, and that's really what you need to test to confirm which unit is the best or not. I basically just tested out these units and gave all the stats that I could given the amount of time. So again, thank you so much for watching the video. If you have any information that I missed about the wireless kits, feel free to comment them down below. It helps me out as well as all the viewers. And then again, a huge shout out to Zounds and Lekato for sending me these wireless units to test. I had a ton of fun enjoying them, and I'm really excited to use these wireless units at band practice. Thanks again for watching.